In a world where Rome's dominance seemed unshakable, a single day would challenge that very notion. Along the banks of a seemingly inconspicuous river, two armies would clash in a battle that would echo through the annals of history. A confrontation so impactful, it would lead to the very sacking of Rome itself. The stakes? The future of the Roman Republic. The players? The mighty Romans and the fierce Gauls. Join us as we unravel the mysteries, the strategies, and the fateful decisions of the Battle of the Allia, where Rome faced one of its most defining moments. The Senones, a Gallic tribe, had recently made their way into northern Italy, settling on the Adriatic coast near present-day Rimini. Livy recounts a tale of intrigue and revenge that brought them further into the heart of Italy. Senones, a young influential man from the Etruscan town of Clusium, now known as Chiusi in Tuscany, sought vengeance against Lucumo. The reason? Lucumo's son had seduced Senones' wife. In his quest for revenge, Senones beckoned the Senones to Clusium. Feeling the looming threat of the Senones, Clusium turned to Rome for assistance. Rome responded by sending 3 ambassadors, all sons of the influential Marcus Fabius Ambustus. Their message to the Gauls was clear: do not attack Clusium. If you do, Rome will intervene. Seeking a peaceful resolution, the Romans proposed negotiations. The Senones seemed amenable, asking for land in exchange for peace. However, tensions escalated, leading to a skirmish in which a Roman ambassador killed a Senones leader. This act violated the sacred neutrality of ambassadors, plunging the situation into further chaos. Dionysius of Halicarnassus offers another layer to the story. He portrays Lucumo as Clusium's king who, before his death, entrusted his son's guardianship to Senones. This son's illicit affair with Senones' wife set the stage for the subsequent events. Senones, in his travels to Gaul, introduced the Gauls to the riches of Italy, painting a picture of a fertile land defended by weak warriors. This enticed the Gauls to consider an invasion. The killing of the Gallic leader by Quintus Fabius, one of the Roman ambassadors, further complicated matters. The Senones demanded justice, asking for the Fabii brothers to be handed over for their transgressions. However, Rome's Senate, under the influence of the powerful Fabia family, hesitated. Instead of making a decision, they passed the responsibility to the people. In a twist of fate, the very individuals whose actions had caused the crisis were elected as military tribunes with consular powers for the upcoming year. Infuriated by Rome's audacity in honoring those who had broken international laws, the Senones set their sights on Rome itself, a mere 130 kilometers from Clusium. As they marched, their intent was clear, with Livy noting that their shouts echoed a singular purpose: Rome was their destination. The Battle of the Allia, a pivotal moment in Rome's history, has long been the subject of debate regarding the size of the forces involved. Ancient historians, known for their penchant for exaggeration, offer varying figures. Plutarch suggests the Romans had 40,000 men, most of whom were untrained. Dionysius of Halicarnassus speaks of 4 well-trained legions and a larger number of untrained citizens, estimating around 35,000 Romans. Diodorus Siculus, on the other hand, posits a figure of 24,000 Romans. Modern historians Carey and Scullard estimate the Roman forces to be around 15,000, while the Gauls, they believe, ranged from 30,000 to 70,000. Peter Beresford Ellis, extrapolating from the idea that each Roman consul commanded 2 legions, estimates a minimum of 24,000 Romans. He also speculates on the presence of allied troops and believes the Senones, a single tribe, would have had no more than 12,000 warriors. However, these figures are contentious. Contrary to Ellis's claim, during the time of the Battle of the Allia, Rome had only 2 legions. The increase to 4 legions occurred later during the Second Samnite War. Furthermore, the Roman military command structure was simpler during this period. Each of the 2 consuls led 1 legion. The idea of consuls leading more than 1 legion only emerged later in the century. Additionally, the size of a Roman legion varied. While Ellis assumes a legion size of 6,000, during the Battle of the Allia, a legion was likely closer to 4,200. Later, a full-strength legion would have 5,200 men, but this was not always achieved. Considering Rome's population also provides context. In its nascent days, Rome was a regional city-state, with its territory not extending beyond 50 kilometers from the city. Estimates suggest a population ranging from 25,000 to 50,000 in the late 6th century BC. An economic downturn in the 5th century BC likely stunted significant population growth. While Rome's territory expanded by the early 4th century BC, much of this was due to the conquest of Veii, whose population did not have Roman citizenship and thus couldn't serve in the Roman army. Given these factors, it's improbable that Rome could muster a force of 24,000 or more during the Battle of the Allia. Furthermore, the Romans had limited time to prepare for the battle. The Roman army was essentially a part-time militia, with soldiers being peasant farmers who would be levied for military campaigns and then returned to their farms. Not every eligible man was drafted annually, and many would have lived far from Rome, requiring time to reach the city. Lastly, the size of the Senones force is also debated. Carey and Scullard's estimate of 30,000 to 70,000 seems inflated. As Ellis suggests, 12,000 would already be a significant number for a single tribe. The Battle of the Allia, a significant event in Rome's early history, is primarily detailed in the accounts of two ancient historians, Livy and Diodorus Siculus. Livy's account paints a picture of a Rome caught off guard. Despite the looming threat of the Gauls, Rome took no extraordinary precautions, conducting a levy that was typical of regular campaigns. The speed of the Gaulish advance took the Romans by surprise, evident from their hasty assembly of the army. Likely outnumbered, the Romans spread their line thin to prevent being outflanked, which left their center vulnerable. Instead of setting up a fortified camp or seeking divine guidance, they positioned their reserves on a hill to the right. Brennus, the Senones leader, perceived this as a potential trap and decided to attack the hill. Panic ensued among the Romans. The left wing, closer to the river Tiber, dropped their weapons and fled. Many, weighed down by their armor, drowned in the river. However, a significant number managed to reach Veii, a nearby Etruscan city recently conquered by Rome. Shockingly, they didn't send a warning to Rome. The right wing, being closer to the hill, retreated to Rome. The ease of the Gaulish victory left even the victors surprised. Diodorus Siculus offers a slightly different perspective. According to him, the Romans crossed the river Tiber, positioning their best troops, numbering 24,000, on the plain, while the less experienced were placed on a hill. The Celts mirrored this formation, placing their elite on the hill. The ensuing battle saw the Celts easily overpowering the Romans. Chaos reigned as the majority of the Roman forces fled towards the river, obstructing each other's paths. Many Romans, valuing their armor more than their lives, tried to cross the river with their armor on. This proved fatal for many, while others managed to reach the banks further downstream after discarding their armor. The Gauls continued their onslaught, hurling javelins at the fleeing Romans. Most survivors sought refuge in Veii, while a few returned to Rome, bearing the grim news of the army's decimation. Plutarch's account, while briefer, aligns with the narrative of a sudden Gaulish attack near the Allia's confluence with the Tiber, about 18 kilometers from Rome. He describes the battle as disorderly and shameful for the Romans. The left wing was decimated near the river, while the right wing, sensing the Gauls' onslaught, retreated to the hills. Most of them fled to Rome, while the remaining survivors escaped to Veii, believing Rome and its inhabitants were doomed. Following their unexpected triumph at the Battle of the Allia, the Gauls, particularly the Senones tribe, found themselves in a state of disbelief. Their victory had come so easily that they hesitated, wary of potential Roman traps or ambushes. This caution was further heightened when they approached Rome and found the city's gates wide open and its defenses seemingly abandoned. Rather than rushing into a potentially unfamiliar and dangerous environment in the dark, they chose to set up camp between Rome and the river Anio, waiting for dawn. Inside the city, panic reigned. The Romans, unaware that a significant portion of their army had sought refuge in Veii, felt utterly defenseless. In a desperate bid to protect the heart of the Republic, they fortified the Capitoline Hill. men of military age, along with the able-bodied senators and their families, were sent there with weapons and provisions, preparing for a last stand. Tragically, the elderly, who had once been the backbone of the city, were left behind, deemed unable to contribute to the defense. As dawn broke, the Gauls entered the city. The streets, usually bustling with activity, were eerily silent. The Roman Forum, the center of public life, presented a surreal scene. Elderly patricians, once the city's most respected figures, sat in front of their homes, dressed in their ceremonial attire, resembling statues more than living beings. Initially, the Gauls approached with reverence, but this soon turned to violence. These dignified figures, representing Rome's glorious past, were brutally massacred. The Gauls then turned their attention to the fortified Capitoline Hill. Recognizing the challenge of a direct assault, they divided their forces. One group maintained the siege, ensuring the Romans on the hill remained isolated, while the other ventured into neighboring territories, foraging for supplies. An audacious attempt by the Gauls to storm the hill was met with fierce resistance, resulting in significant losses and deterring further direct attacks. Away from the besieged city, the remnants of the Roman army, those who had survived the Battle of the Allia, began to regroup in Vi. Under the leadership of Quintus Caedicius, they rallied and even achieved victories against opportunistic Etruscan forces looking to capitalize on Rome's vulnerability. Recognizing the need for experienced leadership, they sought to bring Marcus Furius Camillus, a revered military commander, out of exile. This required the Senate's approval, leading to a daring mission by Camillus Pontius to the besieged Capitoline Hill. His success paved the way for Camillus's appointment as dictator. Back in Rome, the situation grew increasingly dire. Both the besieged Romans and the Gauls were plagued by famine. The Gauls, camped in the marshy low grounds, also began to suffer from diseases. Desperation led to negotiations, culminating in an agreement for the Romans to pay a hefty ransom of 1,000 pounds of gold to secure their freedom. However, the Gauls, displaying their cunning, tried to cheat during the weighing process. Brennus, the Gaulish leader, with a mix of arrogance and contempt, declared, "Vi victus," emphasizing the Romans' defeated position. Yet, just as the Romans braced themselves for this ultimate humiliation, hope arrived in the form of Camillus. With a fiery determination, he declared the ransom agreement null and void, challenging the Gauls' audacity. In the subsequent battles, the Senones were decisively defeated, not once, but twice, ensuring Rome's deliverance from this foreign threat. The aftermath of the Battle of the Allia was a time of unprecedented crisis for Rome. Diodorus Siculus paints a vivid picture of the days that followed, highlighting the customs and strategies of the Senones, as well as the desperate measures taken by the Romans. After their victory at the Allia, the Senones, rather than immediately storming Rome, took a moment to indulge in their grim custom of beheading the fallen, a testament to their warrior culture. Their subsequent encampment near Rome for 2 days, coupled with their hesitancy to enter the city, suggests a mix of caution and perhaps unfamiliarity with urban sieges. The sounds emanating from the city, which were actually the frantic preparations of the Romans, were misinterpreted by the Gauls as potential traps being set. Inside Rome, the atmosphere was thick with despair. The citizens, believing their army had been annihilated, were gripped by a sense of hopelessness. Many fled, seeking refuge in neighboring towns. However, the city's leaders, demonstrating a resilience that would come to characterize Roman history, orchestrated a last-ditch effort to save their civilization. They fortified the Capitoline Hill, the symbolic and strategic heart of Rome, transferring there the city's treasures and provisions. When the Senones finally entered Rome on the 4th day, they found a city ripe for plunder. Yet, despite their pillaging, they refrained from harming the civilians, a detail that offers a nuanced view of these so-called barbarians. Their repeated assaults on the fortified Capitoline Hill, however, met with fierce resistance, leading to significant Gaulish casualties. Unable to breach its defenses, they resorted to a siege, hoping to starve out the defenders. Away from the immediate theater of conflict, the Roman soldiers who had managed to escape to Veii found themselves facing another threat. Etruscan raiders, seizing the opportunity presented by Rome's vulnerability, began pillaging the surrounding territories. However, these Romans, perhaps driven by a desire for redemption, managed to ambush the Etruscans, reclaiming their stolen goods and bolstering their ranks with recovered weapons. This rejuvenated force, now intent on lifting the siege of the Capitoline Hill, sent Camillus Pontius with a message to the besieged Romans, informing them of their intentions. Pontius's daring journey, swimming across the Tiber and scaling a treacherous cliff, is emblematic of the Romans' indomitable spirit during this crisis. However, his trail was discovered by the Gauls, leading to a near-disastrous infiltration of the Capitoline Hill. The narrative of Manlius Capitolinus, or Marcus Malleus as Diodorus names him, heroically repelling the Gauls, serves as a beacon of hope in this dark chapter of Roman history. Ultimately, the Romans, recognizing the direness of their situation, chose negotiation over continued conflict. The price for peace was steep, 1,000 pounds of gold. This ransom, while ensuring the departure of the Gauls, would remain a stain on Roman pride for generations to come. Yet, it also set the stage for Rome's resurgence and its eventual dominance over the Italian peninsula. Plutarch's account of the Gallic Invasion and the subsequent sacking of Rome offers a more dramatic and harrowing portrayal than Livy's version. According to Plutarch, the Gauls, led by Brennus, entered a seemingly deserted Rome, its gates wide open and walls unguarded. Their march through the Colline Gate and into the heart of the city, the Roman Forum, was met with an eerie sight. The city's elders, resigned to their fate, sat in stoic silence, their expressions inscrutable. This tableau of Roman dignitaries, seemingly unfazed by the approaching enemy, momentarily gave the Gauls pause, as they regarded these men with a mix of awe and trepidation. However, this moment of reverence was shattered when one Gaul, perhaps driven by curiosity or insolence, dared to touch the beard of a Roman elder named Papirius Marcus. The swift retaliation of Papirius, striking the Gaul with his staff, served as the catalyst for the ensuing massacre. The Gauls unleashed their fury upon the city, sparing no one in their path. The streets of Rome ran red as women, children, and the elderly were mercilessly slaughtered. Buildings were looted and set ablaze, with the fires raging for days. Yet, amidst this chaos, the Capitoline Hill stood defiant. Its defenders, though besieged, repelled a Gallic assault, maintaining a beacon of Roman resistance. Elsewhere, the narrative of Camillus, Rome's erstwhile hero, unfolds. His rallying of the city of Ardea against the Gallic contingent and his subsequent appointment as dictator underscored his pivotal role in Rome's darkest hour. The Gauls, though initially triumphant, soon found themselves beleaguered. Beset by disease, famine, and the oppressive Mediterranean heat, their camp became a morass of suffering. The rotting corpses littering the ruined city further exacerbated their plight, spreading disease and making the air almost unbreathable. The Romans on the Capitoline Hill, meanwhile, were equally desperate. Cut off from the outside world and unaware of Camillus's preparations, they grappled with worsening famine. In their desperation, they even contemplated paying a ransom to the Gauls to end the siege. Camillus's dramatic return to Rome is the stuff of legends. Refusing to let Rome's honor be tarnished by paying a ransom, he declared that the city would be liberated by steel, not gold. The subsequent skirmishes within the city's ruins culminated in Brennus's decision to retreat. However, the Gauls' respite was short-lived. As dawn broke, Camillus and his forces descended upon them, ensuring that few, if any, would escape Roman retribution. Word of Rome's sacking spread far and wide, even reaching the intellectual circles of Greece. Notably, Aristotle's account, as mentioned by Plutarch, deviated from the popular narrative, attributing Rome's salvation to a Lucius rather than Camillus. Plutarch's rendition, with its vivid details and heightened drama, underscores the profound impact of the Gallic invasion on the Roman psyche. It was a traumatic event that would be etched into Roman memory, serving as a cautionary tale and a testament to Roman resilience. The accounts of the Battle of the Allia and the subsequent sacking of Rome, primarily from Livy and Diodorus Siculus, were written centuries after the events took place. This temporal gap raises questions about the accuracy and reliability of these accounts. The discrepancies between the two historians' versions further complicate the matter, making it challenging to discern the actual sequence of events and the motivations behind them. The narrative of Camillus's heroic rescue of Rome is particularly contentious. Modern historians often view this tale with skepticism, noting its absence in the works of Diodorus Siculus and Polybius. Diodorus, for instance, attributes the Gauls' defeat not to Camillus but to an Etruscan army on the Trojan plain. Strabo's account further muddies the waters, suggesting that the Etruscan city of Caere played a pivotal role in repelling the Gauls and even recovering Rome's ransomed gold. This version contradicts the popular narrative of Camillus halting the payment of the ransom. The motivations behind the Senones' invasion of central Italy are also a subject of debate. Diodorus Siculus posits that the Senones were seeking a more hospitable climate, prompting them to invade Etruria and eventually sack Clusium. However, this explanation seems inconsistent with other details of the story. The Senones are consistently portrayed as a warrior band, with no mention of families or settlers accompanying them. This depiction suggests that they were not a migrating tribe in search of new lands, but perhaps mercenaries on a mission. Cornell's hypothesis that the Senones were mercenaries is intriguing. The subsequent hiring of Gallic mercenaries by Dionysius I of Syracuse lends credence to this theory. If the Senones were indeed mercenaries, their journey southward and subsequent defeat on their return journey would align with this narrative. Furthermore, the idea that the Senones might have been hired to intervene in Clusium's internal political struggles offers a more pragmatic explanation than the romantic tale of Aruns avenging his wife. In conclusion, the events surrounding the Battle of the Allia and the sacking of Rome are shrouded in mystery and myth. The accounts we have, written centuries after the events, are inevitably influenced by the biases, agendas, and limitations of their authors. While the tales of heroism, treachery, and divine intervention make for compelling narratives, they must be approached with a critical eye, recognizing the potential for embellishment and historical revisionism. Thank you for watching this episode of History Uncovered. We delve deep into the mysteries of ancient Rome, sifting through tales of heroism and intrigue. If you found this video informative and engaging, please like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. Your support helps us uncover and share more historical gems. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so that you never miss a new video. As we bid you farewell for now, the algorithm suggests another captivating episode for you. Displayed on the screen is a video we believe you'll thoroughly enjoy. Check it out. And until next time, keep exploring the annals of history with us.